Please note this call may be monitored, recorded, or rebroadcast. Your RTD Interactive Town Hall will begin shortly.
Good evening, and thank you for joining this live virtual telephone town hall meeting hosted by the Regional Transportation District, also known as RTD. I'm Roger, and I'll be your moderator tonight as we have a conversation with RTD Director Angie Rivera-Malpiede, who represents District C. District C includes parts of Denver, Wheat Ridge, and Edgewater. We also have agency staff joining us to answer your questions. They'll introduce themselves during the call. Tonight, we will be covering several topics, including customer safety initiatives, RTD's fare study and equity analysis, current recruitment efforts, and the next steps for Reimagine RTD. This is your opportunity to share thoughts about RTD and ask questions. If this is your first time on a virtual telephone town hall, here's how it works. To ask a question, just press *3 on your telephone keypad, and you'll be transferred to an operator who will take down some basic information and get you in the queue. Once the operator has your information, you can listen to the conversation until it's your turn, and then when I call your name, please repeat your question for our live audience. We want to answer as many questions as possible tonight, so please be brief when you are called up to ask your question. If you are participating online at rtd-denver.com/townhall, you can ask a question or take part in polls directly from the streaming player. And folks on the phone can also view our slide deck on social media, YouTube, or on our website. You can, if you're watching on our website or social media, you can submit your questions as a comment. So we want to hear from you as well. In addition to answering questions live, we'll be asking for survey questions later during the call, and I'll explain that process later. But now it's my pleasure to introduce District C Director Angie Rivera-Malpiede. Thank you for joining us tonight, Director.
Thank you, Roger, and thank you everyone for joining us this evening for our telephone town hall meeting. As you know, my name is Angie Rivera-Malpiede, and I am honored to serve as your director on the RTD Board of Directors. I'd like to start this evening by just sharing with everybody that I've been thinking a lot lately about public transportation. And in fact, public transit has become a catalyst and a backbone to help solve some of the most difficult systemic issues that is facing our metropolitan area. And quite frankly, transit's doing it across the country. Education, climate change, good jobs, and affordable housing even. As part of the efforts, the Regional Transportation District Board last year adopted an ambitious and actionable 5-year strategic plan, something that had not been done before. The plan details RTD's aspirations and the steps it will take to attain those goals. It articulates the organization's vision for partnering with the surrounding community, pursuing community customer excellence, becoming a regional employer of choice, and achieving financial success. This evening, I think you're going to hear from an outstanding, stellar staff that's going to be able to answer a lot of questions and give you a lot of information. I'm looking forward to hearing from you, and it is absolutely my honor and my pleasure to be here with you this evening. Let me just say, again, if you would like to ask a question, please press *3 or enter your question on the comment online. Roger, before we dive into our first topic, I'd like to hear a little bit about the folks who have joined us tonight. And let's ask our first survey question.
Okay, Director, we'll do that. As Director Rivera-Malpiede just mentioned, we'd like to learn a little bit about those of you joining us tonight. It is easy to participate. All you need to do is use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response. And if you're participating online, just click or type your response. Here's the question. How frequently do you ride RTD services? Press 1 for every day. Press 2 for once or twice a week. Press 3 for once or twice a month. Press 4 if you ride a few times per year, and press 5 if you do not currently ride RTD. Please record your vote now. We'll share the results with you in just a few moments. And again, a reminder to ask a question, press *3 on your telephone keypad. There has been a lot of news coverage about safety concerns in the Denver metro area. I'd like to ask Steve Martingano, our interim chief of RTD's Transit Police Division, to introduce himself and talk a little bit about what RTD is doing to help safety on transit and at RTD stations and bus stops. Chief, welcome. Go ahead.
Thanks, Roger. As mentioned, my name is Steve Martingano, and I'm currently the interim chief of police for the RTD Transit Police Division. I have a 29-year police career working New York City Police Department, as well as Arvada and Denver. And my last stint in Denver was the downtown Denver area. So I'm very familiar with the downtown Denver area, as well as Union Station, from both as a Denver police officer and working for RTD. One thing that we've continually hear from our customers are concerns about inappropriate behavior that they're seeing around their cities as well as Denver lately. As more and more people are utilizing the transit system, as people are coming back to work or just coming downtown to eat or see a sporting event or just a night on the town, safety and security is definitely a top priority for RTD. Every day our staff works really hard to make sure that customers get to their destination safely and in a secure manner and have an enjoyable experience. One of the concerns that continually come up to us is about the unwanted activities at transit areas, especially the Denver Union Station. I don't know if everyone here knows, but our CEO reached out to the mayor of the city and county of Denver and asked for assistance in regards to Union Station. Back in April, we started to do security enhancements around the bus concourse, which is actually the bus terminal that's underground at Union Station. In the short term, we're doing things as lighting and replacing light bulbs and better illumination. We've also changed and converted for passenger pedestrian flow, so we converted emergency exits to some of our exit points. But one of the things, too, that's also being worked on is the deep cleaning. Our cleaning staff does an amazing job at Union Station, and they have been putting double the effort with really, really deep cleaning to make sure that while you're in our bus terminal and our platforms that you have a comfortable experience. But those are short-term, and this is a long-term project. So over the next 12 to 16 months, you're going to see a really conversion of that bus terminal area at Union Station. We're going to try to convert that to a paid fare area. And that's really to restrict access to make sure that the individuals utilizing that bus terminal are customers, getting on buses as well as trains. That's what RTD does the best. They transport people, and we want to make sure that we're providing an atmosphere and an area for that to happen. This is going to be a project that's going to cost anywhere from $10 to $15 million. We recognize that these are expensive upgrades. And under our strategic priority of financial success, RTD takes very seriously the management of all of our financial resources. And this project is no exception. So what RTD is going to do is they are going to reinvest funds from the return of the approximately $29 million credit risk premium, which was part of the original investment into Union Station, to implement and construct design improvements, and also to enhance the customer experience while utilizing the station.
You, Director. It was a long time coming getting that premium back. How can customers stay up to date on all of these changes happening?
You know what, Roger? Thank you for asking the question. And I think that one of the things that I've heard loud and clear from my constituents is we need real-time information. And it is a concern not just for the Denver area, but for the whole district. RTD has launched a web page dedicated to providing updates on the facility enhancement at Denver Union Station. I would ask folks to go on our website regularly because we are updating it regularly because this is a fluid issue that we have been working on quite diligently. That webpage is rtd-denver.com/projects/restoring RTD-DUS. I know that's a long one. Let me just say it again. RTD-projects/restoring-DUS. Customers can also sign up for a newsletter on our website. And in addition to the enhancements at Denver Union Station, RTD is making other changes to ensure that customers are safe when they're traveling. Chief, would you also give us a little bit about those changes?
Yeah, absolutely, Director. So again, I was made interim police chief in March. And one of the first things I did was I changed our policing method to be more proactive. I wanted our officers to be out there, be visible, be customer service agents as well to assist individuals if they need directions or, just to hear their concerns about their rides. So I broke our police division into 4 impact teams. One is dedicated to bus, one's dedicated to rail. So you'll see both of those fractions of the police department on platforms, at bus stops, riding buses and trains, and being visible out there for any type of questions or you point out anything you see suspicious. We also have a community engagement team. That officer will go out and, if you want them to be at your next HOA meeting or, to come if you are living or around somewhere that has an RTD platform or a bus stop and you want to know about RTD and the security measures, they'll be happy to show up and assist and talk about RTD and all the, all the enhancements that we place. And then we also have a mental health and homeless outreach impact team. For those that don't know, RTD was the very first public transportation agency that hired mental health clinicians and put them in a co-responder unit, which meant they put them with police officers, and they would go out and assist our customers that were experiencing a mental health episode. Obviously, suffering from mental health illnesses is not a crime. It's a medical condition, and we want to make sure that we have the appropriate response to those individuals that are having an episode. We also utilize secondary employment officers from local police jurisdictions. We currently have an intergovernmental agreement or an IGA with Denver, Aurora, and Thornton, and they assist us in their cities. But the faces you probably see most of is our security team. So we currently have a contract that it's an hour-based contract, and it allows us to hire up to 295 security officers. So they are positioned all around our systems, our facilities, our buildings, and our properties. Those are probably the first faces you will probably see, and they are well trained, and they go out and they are there for security reasons as well as any type of customer service or assistance. But we also reach out in partnerships with the local police departments to really help RTD quickly respond to customers and their safety issues.
Thank you, Chief. Sometimes we get calls from customers who wonder why the commuter rail lines, including the A and G lines, have armed security on each train, but light rail lines do not always have an officer or security personnel traveling on board. Could you very briefly tell us why that is?
Yeah, that's a great question. The Federal Railroad Administration, also known as FRA, they require a second crew member on commuter rail lines, which is the A line to DIA, the B line to Westminster, the G line to Arvada, and the N line to Thornton. So RTD made a decision once they opened up those lines to make that second crew member a security officer. So again, it's mandated by the FRA, so we have to have that second crew member. Light rail does not require that. That's under the PUC of Colorado. So we don't have somebody on every one of those trains, but what we do have is we have our, like I mentioned, our rail impact team as well as our security officers, and they are out there checking fares and ensuring customers are traveling safety. But really the best tool that I could tell everybody that's on this is our RTD Transit Watch app. It's a free app that's on Apple and Android platforms. It's called RTD Transit Watch, and if you go ahead and download that, it's a way to contact one of our 2 police dispatch centers to report security and safety concerns easily and discreetly. It's text-based, so you go ahead and text any type of suspicious activity or any incidents you want to report to the police department, and we'll send the proper resources. If you don't have the ability to download an app, you can call 303-299-2911, and that will also go to one of our 2 transit police dispatch centers. When you're utilizing either method, please be as specific as possible. Let us know, the situation you're observing, the location you're at, any descriptions of suspects or any persons involved, and then we will send the proper resources based off of that information. And then, whenever you do submit a report, whether it's through the app or the phone, we utilize that information to deploy our resources. So it's very important to go ahead and contact us and let us know what you're seeing on our public transportation lines.
All right. Thank you for that information, Steve. Before we take your questions, here's the answer to our first survey question. Again, we asked, how frequently do you ride RTD services? 36% of you said every day. 28% said they do not currently ride RTD. 18% said a few times per year. Thank you for participating. We'll have some more questions later on. We certainly appreciate our customers choosing to take transit. It's environmentally friendly and helps reduce congestion. And for those who don't currently use transit, RTD continues to work very hard to improve services to increase usage. So give us a try. All right, let's take some questions. The first question came in online from YouTube. Kira asked, would you please put security on regular patrol at Knox Station? Over the past month, it's become like Union Station at Knox with a very open drug use.
Roger, I'll go ahead and take that again. This is Steve Martin-Ganley, Interim Police Chief for the RTD Transit Police Division. We are aware of what was happening at Knox Station. We got to understand that area, it's obviously utilized. The platform is utilized for public transportation, but it's right next to the Gulch, and it's an area that a lot of individuals are utilizing for encampments. So we continue to send our security officers over there. Again, our RTD Transit Police officers as well, and we reach out. I had mentioned earlier that we have secondary employment with the Denver Police Department. So what that entails is they come on their days off, they work for RTD, they grab one of our RTD Transit Police vehicles as well as one of our radios, and they handle calls and go to any problem areas within the city and county of Denver that we ask them to be visible at. So we have been using a three-pronged approach for that. Again, our security officers are stopping by there as much as they can, our police officers in Denver, and we're also reaching out to the District 1 station that's their area, and we ask them to drive by and kind of do special watches throughout the day. The issue that really is within the downtown area is there's no loitering laws, so individuals could go ahead and hang out in certain areas in the city, but if they are conducting some type of criminal behavior, that then escalates the ability to contact. So, we do understand that there are some issues there, and we're trying to mitigate them, but we also are trying to, make sure that we're not contacting individuals when they're not doing anything wrong as well. So.
All right, thank you. Let's hear from Richard, who's on the phone. Richard, go ahead.
Hi there. This is a question for the director. It was, when did you last ride an RTD bus or train, and how was your experience?
Richard, thank you so much for that question. Actually, let me start by saying to you, I've been riding the RTD system for over 5 decades. And, I started young, and now I'm not young. But I ride the bus, the train, and the light rail regularly. And I think the last time I rode the 32 was on Monday to go to RTD to do a meeting. But I am literally on every train, every light rail, and every bus route between here and Northeast Denver. So I really highly utilize the transit system. And the other thing I'd like to share with you, Richard, is that I'm a Transportation Management Association director, so my whole focus in my career has also been utilizing alternative transportation methodologies. So in particular, transit is my number one way of getting in and around the community that I serve. Thanks for that question.
All right, great question so far. Let's just remind you that if you want to ask a question on the phone, press *3 on your telephone keypad, and if you're participating online, you can ask a question or respond to polls directly from the streaming player. We're going to move on to our next topic for tonight's call, RTD's FAIR study and Equity Analysis. We've got Carl Green with us. Would you introduce yourself and provide an update?
Yes, thank you, Roger. I'd be happy to. So again, my name is Carl Green Jr. I am the manager of the Transit Equity Office within the Civil Rights Division, and I'm also serving as the Deputy Project Manager of this FAIR study. And I'm glad to be here tonight to provide our community in District C with an update on our progress to date. So we've heard a lot from our customers that our current fare structure is expensive and confusing to utilize. So one of our strategic priorities is customer excellence, where we strive to deliver consistent, high-quality customer service, and the fare study and equity analysis will help us identify areas where we can improve the customer experience when taking transit. This particular project looks to understand customers' opinions and preferences on current RTD fares, as well as our past programs, and essentially working towards how we can best improve them. To date, RTD has hosted 2 public meetings, including one conducted in Spanish, as well as 3 customer feedback panels. In addition, we've invited customers to provide feedback on the current fare structure utilizing a survey, and this survey was available in English, Spanish, Chinese, and Vietnamese, and we received over 2,400 responses.
Carl, is the community engagement for the FAIR study over now, or is RT still in the process currently?
Thank you for that question, Roger. It's a good one. So the FAIR study and equity analysis will continue through 2022, where staff is expected to have a recommendation for the RTD Board of Directors to review those potential fare alternatives in the spring of 2023. But before we get to that time frame as far as the recommendation, I would like to mention that this system-wide fare study and equity analysis is definitely leading with equity, and we're taking a very customer and community-centric approach, where I've just listed off a number of different engagement opportunities as part of our engagement milestone number 1, but there will be plenty of opportunities for our customers in our community to share their ideas and to provide their feedback. So during the summer, specifically June 23rd and June 29th, customers will be able to get involved in the evaluation of conceptual fare options, as well as the trade-offs that are being considered when evaluating these potential fare alternatives to the current fare structure. And looking ahead to the fall of 2022, we'll connect with the public once more to get more feedback on a refined list of fare alternatives. And before any of those changes to the fare products or our past programs go into effect, there will also be a public hearing process where the public can see the final proposed changes and offer their feedback.
Carl, can you tell folks where they can learn more about this process?
Yes, I sure can, Director Rivera-Malpiede. So customers interested in offering feedback can sign up for updates on RTD's website, which is www.rtd-denver.com/fare study, and that's FARESTUDY. And as a reminder, RTD currently offers discounted fares for youth, people with disabilities, and seniors ages 65 and up. And then we also offer discounts that are available for low-income residents as part of our low-income fare or the LIVE program. And information on our current fare products can be made available or can be accessed through our website. And again, this is www.rtd-denver-fares-passes/discount-fares. And just for one more time for good measure, that's www.rtd-denver.com/fare-passes/discount-fares.
Thank you, Carl. Let's take a moment to ask our second survey question. Again, for callers, use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response. And if you're online, just click or type your response. Here is that question. Do you believe that RTD fares should be more affordable, even if it results in less service? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no, and press 3 for not sure. Please record your vote. We'll share the results shortly, and we're going to get back to questions from the audience now. Let's go to Brenda on the phone. Brenda, go ahead.
Yes, my name is Brenda Welburn, and I don't know who to address this question to. I'm a senior, and I do have a disability, and I do use RTD Accessoride. And I was just wondering, they only give you 6 minutes, to get to the shuttle, and I was just wondering, had they ever considered lengthening that time, maybe to 10 minutes or something like that? Because, like I said, I have a disability, and I can't walk real fast.
Brandon, do you mind answering that question, please?
This is Dan Merrick. I'll actually take that for Brenda.
All right, thank you, Dan.
Sure. Brenda, what we found is that operators will wait 6 minutes after arrival at the pickup address, and if the customer is not at the door, the operator will wait up to 6 minutes at or near the vehicle, waiting for the customer to board the vehicle. The 6 minutes starts only once the 30-minute pickup window has started. The reason why we keep it there is just because we have many customers that we need to get to, and it's unfair to delay the vehicle for an extraordinary long time while waiting for one. Now, if an event occurs that's outside of your control, you can always contact dispatch at 303-480-2000. That's 303-480-2000. And request that the trip can be rescheduled for a later time. Every effort will be made to adjust the trip time. However, since schedules are prearranged, sometimes there can be a lengthy delay.
Thank you, Dan, for that information. Here's another question that came in online from Janet. She asked, how does RTD define equity? Carl, maybe this is one that you can answer, but Angie, I imagine you might want to weigh in also.
Okay, Carl, I'm going to let you go first.
Yes, I sure will, and that's a great question. So just to start off, equity is a core principle of RTD's functional mission in providing public transit and programs within the Denver region. And as we look at the intersection between mass transit and equity, it's about working towards and ensuring the fair distribution of resources and opportunities across our system, with a strong emphasis on historically underrepresented communities. Here at RTD, we strive to ensure that for any plan changes, that they will not negatively impact customers based on race, color, or national origin, or if for low-income populations, so they won't bear a disproportionate burden or negative impact of those changes. This is rooted in Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and just because we're the discussion point as far as the system-wide fare study, I just wanted to mention that this is an integral component of this fare study. And as we are looking at evaluating fare alternatives, we want to ensure that we're taking an equitable approach prior to implementing this new RTD fare structure or making any changes to our past programs. So that's a baseline fundamental definition of equity and how it intersects with RTD. And if Director Rivera-Malpiede would like to add in, I definitely welcome those sentiments.
You know what, Carl, you did a great job. The one thing that I would talk about in terms of equity is also inclusion. And I think RTD does an outstanding job of really evaluating any time there's going to be a proposed change, to have a discussion with the community, all members of the community in different ways so that everyone can participate. And I think that as the RTD board director for District C, one of the things that I get on a regular basis from all of you will be questions or concerns that I forward and look into with the entire RTD staff. But I think that the whole component around equity is really a forefront component for me as your director, but also as a cornerstone for RTD. So thank you for that question.
All right, thank you, Director and Carl. Here are the results of our second survey question. We asked, do you believe that RTD fares should be more affordable even if it results in less service? And 67% of you said you were not sure, and 33% said yes. Thank you very much for your input, and we are going to reintroduce the topic again. If you've joined us late, good evening. This is a live virtual telephone town hall hosted by the Regional Transportation District, or RTD. I'm Roger, your moderator, and we are talking with District C Director Angie Rivera-Malpiede. And we also have agency staff joining us to answer your questions. So if you have a question, press *3 on your telephone keypad, and if you're online, just enter your question directly in the streaming player or as a comment on YouTube. Let's go back to some questions. This one came in online, and Jan says, what's up with all the train horns? I thought it was a quiet zone.
Okay.
Who'd like to talk about quiet zones? It's quiet. Dan or Chris, maybe?
Yes.
All right, we may be having some technical difficulties. Jan, we'll get that answer to you back here in a minute. Let's go next to Dominique. Dominique, you're live. Go ahead.
Okay, hi,
Dominique,
I'm Dominique, and
go ahead.
I ride the bus like every single day. It's a different route every day because I work at a different location every day. But I was recently catching the number 10 bus, and the bus driver didn't wait for me. I was like a step away from the bus stop, like really running, and he even like pointed at the bus stop. And I catch the bus every day, so the next day I went to catch the bus, and I was like 5 minutes early at the bus stop this time. And when I got on the bus, like, hey, you kind of just went straight past me yesterday. He's like, yeah, well, we're on a new thing, and it's like a time stamp or something. So if I'm not at my time stamp, then, like, I don't know if he gets in trouble or what, but is that how they're doing it now? Like, just go off on me.
Hi, Dominique. I can take this one as well. This is Dan Merritt, and I'm in service planning and scheduling. And I'm thinking what he was referencing was time points. And our schedules are built along time points where operators need to be at a certain point along the route at a certain time. And the most important thing always with RTD is that a bus does not leave its time point early. But also, operators can be dinged if they are running too late. Many times there's other factors like traffic and passenger loads that can factor into that for a operator, so they do not get in trouble. But if this operator was having a history of running late, there's a possibility that they could have been spoken to. I don't know this exact situation, but it's always good to show up early because RTD buses won't. So if you're there early, you know you'll catch your ride.
Thank you for that. Let's ask our next survey question. And again, it's easy to respond. Just use your telephone keypad. Here's the question. What factor would increase your likelihood of taking RTD services more often? Press 1 for more affordable fares. Press 2 for a system where you feel safe. Press 3 for more frequent bus and train service. And press 4 for more service coverage in your area. While you're recording your vote, I'm going to go back to the director to introduce our next topic. Angie, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Roger. I would like to talk about people power. At RTD, we have a workforce of over 3,500 employees. Positions are including bus and rail operators, mechanics, administrative staff, and so much more. One of RTD's strategic priorities is employer ownership, through which we are seeking to attract and retain highly skilled and engaged workforce. We are people who move people, And to help keep our transit system reliable, we are in the process of hiring key positions. If you or a friend are interested in finding out more, please go to rtd-denver.com.
Thank you, Director. I'm so sorry. I want to ask you, and I just lost my train of thought. I want to ask you about some of the benefits you would like to highlight or share that for those that are considering joining RTD.
Yes. So let me just say that, RTD is looking for meaningful career and public service for all of these opening positions. We are hiring positions across the agency, including bus and rail operators, body shop technicians, and mechanics. And many of these positions are eligible for a $4,000 signing bonus, which I think would be an incentive for folks to take a look at the opportunities at RTD.
Great, thank you. Let's take a couple more questions. And one came in from Kyle, and Kyle asked, he heard that the MyRide card is changing and going to a different system. Will my MyRide cards be going away?
I can go ahead and take that one, Roger. And thank you for the question. So just for context, the implementation of account-based ticketing, also known as ABT, will require updates and new equipment across the RTD system. And this includes new validators, updated RTD mobile ticket apps, and a new MyRide smart card, and new devices for fare inspectors. So currently, for MyRide customers, they're willing to transfer their balance to an RTD mobile ticket account to use their phone or a new MyRide card to pay for fares. As we get closer to the rollout of this new system, RTD will be sending out extensive communication on the exciting new features and instructions on this forthcoming change.
All right, let's go back to the phone and hear from Richard. Go ahead, Richard.
Hi there.
All right, Richard.
Hi there, sorry. This is a question for Director Rivera-Malpiede. RTD runs a lot of buses downtown on 15th, 17th, 18th, and 19th Streets. As somebody who commutes from the 43 to the W line at Union Station, where I don't have a direct connection, I have to often change buses here. It's very, very confusing. There's very little information. Is RTD got any plans to improve the information and explain how much transit they're actually providing in this area?
Richard, I really had a hard time hearing your question, and I hate to ask you to repeat it, but could you please?
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, here it is. So RTD runs a lot of buses downtown on 15th, 17th, 18th, and 19th Streets. The system is almost a secret. There's very little information about how they put all this together. And as somebody who commutes on the 43 and then onto the W line at Union Station, I then have to change buses in this area. Is RTD considering improving the information regarding the services in this area?
All right. So if I'm understanding you correctly, are you talking about the actual signage at Union Station, like at the bus terminal where it says Route 32, the next one's at 12:52 p.m. Is that what you're talking about?
Not per se Union Station. I find that okay. It's the situation particularly on 15th and 17th Streets, where we've got this XYZ stop situation, and explaining how that works and how to use that, because there's a lot of buses there, and it's very, very, it took me quite a while to figure it out. And even now, I'm never quite sure which stop to go to.
Okay, I get it. And I understand exactly what you're talking about with the Y and X, because the 32 has had that issue also on 15th Street. Here's what and it's kind of cumbersome, I think, as a transit rider to try and navigate through that. And what I've learned to do is to sign up for next ride at RTD, putting in your bus route that you're going to take. And anytime that there is a change, RTD texts you to let you know what the change is, or emails you to update you on what is going on. And so I think that if you take a look at the Trip Planner apps, they are so incredibly helpful. And I use them all the time, and I don't just use one bus route or one line. I put in every single one of them that I might use during the course of the week, just to make sure I'm being updated on a regular basis. So that would be my suggestion, Richard.
All right, thank you. That's a good suggestion. Thank you. Here are the results of our third survey question. We asked, what factor would increase your likelihood of taking RTD services in the future? And the results were 50% of you said more frequent bus and train service, 33% said more service in your area, and 17% said more affordable fares. Thank you for that input. We appreciate it. It's time to talk about Reimagine RTD, the agency's plan for the next 5 years. I'm going to ask Carl Green Jr. to come back and give us some information. Carl, go ahead. Carl, are you with us? Just making sure that we haven't lost Carl here. All right. We may have lost connection with Carl. So I don't know. Angie, do you want to talk a little bit about that at RTD?
Yeah. Thanks, Roger. You know what? At RTD, we are striving to be a strong community partner by providing value to customers as well as to the broader Denver metro region. This is our first strategic priority, and the Reimagine RTD initiative clearly falls under that priority. Reimagine RTD is a planning process to develop and address transit challenges, as well as answer the question of what's next for RTD. Current challenges, as you know, includes the reduction in ridership that has been a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and limited options for increasing consistent funding for the future. Reimagine RTD provides a framework to guide future service decision-making for the district via two components. The System Optimization Plan, otherwise known as the SOP, really talks about redesigning of RTD services to balance the needs of the traveling public with the financial realities facing the agency. And the second is the Mobility Plan for the Future, which is identification of long-term strategies between now and 2050 to address the region's future mobility need. We just completed the SOP, which looks at the near term within 5 years. The majority requested additional service that exceeded the SOP resources, and others identified will be monitored for future consideration. There is going to be public and stakeholder comments that we did gather and evaluated, and if feasible, we'll be making adjustments to the SOP. Implementation will be phased over 5 years through 2027, and it's dependent on the availability of operator resources. RTD is also developing a mobility plan for the future, which will address the longer-term plan through 2050. In July, the RTD board will be acting on the final SOP and determine how to move forward to accept the mobility plan for the future.
Thank you,
I'll
Director.
turn it back to you, Roger.
I appreciate that information. Let's take a question that came in online that's relevant here. Amber asked, will RTD consider making fares free as part of the fare study? But that also goes to a question that Reimagine may be considering. I don't know, Carl or Angie, you may know that, or Dan. Who would like to answer that question?
I could answer that question, Roger. So as far as the system-wide fare study and equity analysis, going completely fare-free, also referred to as zero fare, would require a new substantial ongoing funding source in order to maintain RTD's current service levels or increases to service. So while the study is unlikely to consider going entirely zero fare, it may consider offering free fares to a subset of customers, in particular equity populations.
Great. If you have a question, we still have a few minutes. You have time to press *3 to get in the queue. Carol asked, my bus stop doesn't have a bench. How can I request RTD install one?
All right, I'll give it a shot. Carol, you know, RTD has a really interesting thing. Our role is purely to bring forward a bus stop sign and a bus. The benches are really very interesting depending on where they're located. I would ask you to email me to give me a location so I can see if it is an issue of RTDs or of the municipality or a business, because each one is very, very different. And it's kind of a complicated way that they're out there, but I'd be happy to work with you on that. You can reach me at my email, which is listed on here, but it's Angie.Rivera-Malpiede@rtd-denver.com. But thank you for that question. It is something that I work on in conjunction with the staff on a regular basis.
Thank you, Director. We've got another question that's, I think, relevant here as well. When we're thinking about reimagining RTD, service reliability is certainly very important. I know I subscribe to RTD service alerts, and sometimes there are cancellations on my route. Dan, what is RTD doing to mitigate cancellation?
Roger, RTD does its best to ensure that all scheduled trips run, but when a schedule adjustment needs to be made, we work to make it as least disruptive as possible. When making real-time adjustments, we do not cancel back-to-back trips, and we do not cancel the final trip of the evening, so people can get home on that last route, even if other runs were being canceled. I once again encourage all customers to enroll in service alerts for the buses and trains that they take most frequently, or even ones that you might just be thinking about taking. We recently updated our service alert system, which you may not be aware of. Now when a customer signs up, they're notified via text or email in real time when a scheduled adjustment is made. Customers can also use the RTD Next Ride and Trip Planner functions on our website to plan alternative trips.
Terrific. Thank you for that information. Let's ask our fourth and final survey question. Callers, again, use your telephone keypad, and those online, click or enter your response. Here is the question. How satisfied are you with RTD services overall? Press 1 for very satisfied. Press 2 for satisfied. Press 3 for somewhat dissatisfied. And press 4 for very dissatisfied. We'll share those results with you in just a few moments. Director, why don't we talk a little bit about other items that you'd like to share with the audience, either about RTD in general or some specific things in District C.
Thank you. Let me just say, you know, at the beginning of this conversation, I shared with you some of the things that RTD has been working on in terms of the 5-year strategic plan, and we kind of went through a lot of those components this evening. All of them impact District C, which is where we all live. I think that this next year is going to be extraordinarily exciting for all of us in transit, because transit has become the backbone of the economy in terms of serving community, not just for a ride, but the impacts that ride has on all of us in terms of where we need to go, where we want to go, and how we get there. I was thinking about this afternoon. I've been attending a lot of community events that are happening. And, you know, the thing about transit is it brings communities together. and it allows everyone to be able to really get to the places they need to be, and we need to do it in a safe and reliable method. And I think for us in District C, our community is changing all the time. And I think a lot about the populations, and our largest population that's growing are seniors. And that's one of the places that I've been thinking about, as well as our youngsters who are utilizing transit to get to and from school and recreation centers and after-school programs. So I think that for me in this district, what's so exciting is the impact on community and how the community has really become aware of the fact of how important public transit is, not just to people personally, but for the entire community.
Thank you. I know you have worked, like you said, most of your career in promoting transit and mobility and access. So thank you for all of your service and that information. I am going to go back to a question that we had earlier about horns and trains and quiet zones. And I thought I'd ask Brandon to come on and provide an answer to that, because I certainly hear complaints sometimes about the train horns. So Brandon, you want to take that?
Yeah, absolutely, Roger, and thank you all for attending tonight and for the questions. My name is Brandon Figliolino. I'm a senior specialist in community engagement with RTD. So quiet zones are implemented along railroad segments to lessen the noise impact to neighborhoods that are near tracks. And we do our best to make sure that those quiet zones stay quiet, but we do need to sound train horns in certain situations, such as when work crews are on or near the tracks, if there is an emergency that's existing or that we believe might be existing, or if there are issues with gate arm timing or positive train control. If you do live along the commuter rail lines and are interested in learning about quiet zones, you can go to our website and sign up for service alerts, in particular to quiet zones. And so you'll be notified via email when we do have upcoming work that may result in train horn sounding.
Thank you, Brandon. Joan submitted a question online, and she asked, what does RTD do to maintain cleanliness on the buses and trains? Dan, or who can take that? Because I know we're doing extra efforts to keep our trains clean and buses clean.
I can take that. RTD has a dedicated team who cleans buses and trains. The team wipes down the interior of all vehicles, which not only cleans them, but disinfects them. In some instances, when the vehicle needs a deeper cleaning, RTD can pull the bus or train from service for a specialized team to perform a deep cleaning.
All right. Thank you very much. Here are the results of our last survey question. We asked, how satisfied are you with RTD services overall? You know, a good majority of you say very satisfied, but we have a few people that are somewhat dissatisfied. So we always are working to improve our service and get more of you to try transit. We are nearly out of time. Angie, you have 3 or 4 minutes. Would you like to make some closing remarks?
Yes, thank you. Let me start by thanking everyone who is on this call this evening. You know, I know how important transit is, but for you to take time out of your day to listen to what we have to say is just so wonderful. So thank you so much. We are a community, and I think that talking to each other, hearing what's happening, and being educated and knowing where to get information is really vital. And this is one of the ways that we do it, is so that you can hear what we're working on, and we can hear the questions that you have for us. And I think together then we come forward with a good plan. So I would just like to say thank you for your time this evening, and be well.